Phil Spencer reacts to PS5 specs, he talks Xbox Series X delay, new games, and so much more. Let's get into it. What is going on, guys? Dealer back again with yet another video talking about Phil Spencer, who is talking about Xbox Series X, the possible delays, the next generation games, and so much more. If you haven't liked the video, maybe hit that like button, show this to a buddy too, and subscribe for the latest and greatest. If you like the music, go ahead and check out the link down below. Buy it. Open mic selling now. This interview comes courtesy of IGN and Ryan McCaffrey. Great interview there. Encourage you guys to check out the source, but we'll go over what we find to be interesting. Now we can start with Xbox Series X and if it's actually going to make launch this holiday. I get asked over and over, hey, have you heard anything about Halo Infinite? Is the console going to be delayed? What's happening? Calm down, no fears, no fears. Phil Spencer himself seems quite confident that the system is actually going to make launch this year. Though, he does say that we are not going to launch software that isn't ready. Basically, long story short, that's what he's saying.
You know, I'd say pragmatically, the supply chains in China have started to come back. I think we've seen that in the news, that China was obviously earlier in dealing with C-19 before it spread. And I think that we can see in the factories and stuff, we're starting to report things back from them, and that's working for us. You know, we'll kind of go in eyes wide open on what we're trying to get done, but I don't think we would hold the launch of the overall platform for any individual game. I think we just have to be very transparent with people.
Now we've got a lot more coming up on new games and of course Phil's reaction to PlayStation 5, but this one was quite interesting because we had talked about this months and months and months ago. This is something I really went in depth on RDX podcast, and it turns out, yeah, 100% confirmed by Phil Spencer himself, pretty much confirming it here. Xcloud game streaming definitely has a role to play on console.
Is Xcloud going to be used to help me maybe like start playing a game I've bought instantly while the local copy downloads in the background?
I think the Xcloud scenario on a console makes a ton of sense. Like one of the things we're seeing in Xcloud today in the preview, which is going, like you said, incredibly well, and we have like hundreds of thousands of people playing, it's awesome, is we watch people sample games. We see that in Game Pass already, even on console. We call it the hummingbird effect. People are just willing to kind of try more games, but obviously you have the download time. And so on xCloud, you definitely get people who are sampling a lot more games, and I think that's healthy for our industry.
Phil doubles down on the sheer amount of first and third party games they have coming to the console. Keep in mind that he does confirm here a bunch of unannounced deals with people that are not necessarily owned by Xbox or Microsoft. So you do have some third party deals in the works to carry some of that load, and he'll go more into detail on their first party lineup for the console as well.
I think coming into this, we know we want to show more, and frankly, we have a lot more to show. I mean, Aaron Greenberg and I were just doing the math with Matt and trying to figure out what is the next show that we would have where we would not be announcing a new game. Is kind of hard for us to predict because when you have that many studios. And I'll also shout out to our publishing team. They obviously just shipped Ori, great game, doing Tell Me Why with Don't Nod, which is awesome. And our publishing team's our first party organization that works with independent studios to ship games under our first party brand. And we have some unannounced signed things there that we're really, really excited about.
If I might find a way to get you to speak a little bit about your thinking behind the day one launch lineup of Series X. Obviously, you're kind of erasing generations by design. You're bridging the gap.
And this will sound like blasphemy when I say this, but I actually think like on Xbox One, you can argue about the quality, but I think we maybe had too many games that were all falling on the same day. And I think it doesn't really help somebody to have 8 games launch on one day. And I think you can pace those out. Obviously, people can buy games when they want to buy them. So it's not like everybody has to buy all the games on the first day. So I know having an incredibly exciting launch lineup is important. So that's important. But I also think being transparent about what's coming, when people can get excited about, making sure that the teams have the time to get the right game done. Shipping a launch game, you know this because you've been doing this for a long time, is very difficult. So there's certain games that you could give them a couple more months, and maybe they're not there right at launch, but they're able to get the game done that they wanted to get done. And I actually think for the momentum of the platform, it's not about any one day. It's about a sustained stream of great games coming from our first party and our third party partners. I'm way more focused on that.
Now, I can't stress enough how important it is to actually listen to what Bill said here. This is his way of saying, hey, don't expect a bunch of games at the launch of Series X. Not from us, not from first party. This is Phil's way, and he goes on to list the example of Titanfall, basically saying, hey, expect a sustained one-by-one release of our big first party titles. After hearing this, I have a bit less faith as to if Forza Motorsport 8, or whatever they're going to call it, is actually going to release next to Halo Infinite. It seems like to me that they are going to let that game cook a little bit longer, maybe 3 or 4 months, maybe 6 months, and release it then. Give Halo Infinite as much time as possible to absorb as many players as it can, let as many people as possible discover that title, then hype up the next big expensive project like Forza Motorsport 8, and from there, continue the process with their next big game, with the smaller releases in between. So again, expect Halo Infinite, hopefully, if the software does not get delayed, and not too much else when it comes to AAA, but you will have a ton of support there throughout the generation. Add to that everything you had today is going to be able to come forward and look better than ever on Series X. Phil Spencer also does confirm the removal of the optical audio I/O port on the back of the system, as well as the additional HDMI pass-through, basically saying, look, over the course of a generation, these two components can cost hundreds of millions of dollars to add, while a very small percentage of people actually use them. We'd rather put that into the performance of the box. He also does go into detail on his thoughts when it comes to PlayStation 5 and that unveil, and a lot of it will sound very familiar. As we had always said, they knew they were more powerful, they were waiting, and they got the results they wanted. In fact, they're more confident now.
Was it the goal heading into this project? We've heard from the Series X hardware team that this project was actually started in 2016. Right. Was it the goal as it was and clearly turned out to be with the Xbox One X? Was the aim to be the most powerful console, without knowing necessarily what the other guy's doing? And now that you've heard Mark Cerny deliver the first round of tech specs, the kind of overview there, do you feel good about that? Do you feel like you've achieved that?
Yeah, I think you asked the question in exactly the right way. We started in 2016 not knowing, or even really frankly thinking much about when another platform holder would launch or what their goals would be. So it's really hard to go and create goals that are relative to somebody else in the market. And that doesn't mean that we're not incredibly proud of Series X and how that Xbox will exist in the market when it launches. I love the work that the teams have done. But we really try to set our own player goals, experience goals, creator goals for what we're trying to build. We did that with Xbox One X, and I think you and I had the conversation that we really wanted to be able to hit 4K. We thought 4K 30 was reasonable. We get some games that would go to 4K 60, and we get some games that decided to not hit 4K, but we wanted to make sure that 4K was achievable. This time around, for a long time, I've been talking about balance between CPU and GPU without just kind of giving all of our plans, but I've tried to be transparent with the things that we were targeting. We started the conversation about DirectX ray tracing and how we wanted that to exist on our platform. We started even thinking about the cloud and how this platform that we're going to build is going to be the engine for Xcloud going forward, and making some decisions, whether it's direct ML and other uses for this hardware when it's in data centers. So it's not really a relative exercise. We give ourselves a price envelope. Obviously, we have to do that, otherwise we just blow the thing up. We did want to hit a certain performance goal, which I've said is why the console looks the way it does. But it isn't really a relative exercise compared to someone else. But it takes a lot of long-term planning. Here we are 4 years later, and we're able to talk about what we've designed all along. And I mean, like I said, I'm incredibly proud of the work the teams have done.
All right. Well, that said, you dodged the second part. Let me rephrase it this way. You watched Cerny's presentation. If I had a microphone on you, what would I have heard? What would the reaction of Phil Spencer have been? Or what was your reaction to
I felt really good about No doubt. I felt really good about how Series X lines up. And I think Mark and the team did some really good work on the audio processing that they've talked about. Their SSD technology is impressive. We like that. We saw the work that they did. But, you know, we took a holistic view on our platform from CPU to GPU to RAM to throughput, velocity architecture, how latency, back compat. You know, it took us years to get to this point. I mean, even going back to my kind of crazy talk at one of those events down in San Francisco, where I started talking about hardware that might upgrade through the generation and what that meant, which leads us to the ability for you to buy now an Xbox One game that will work in its full fidelity on Series X. And you know, the planning takes a long time. And so, you know, I will definitely have respect for any platform team that's launching, because it just takes a lot of work. But I will say, when we finally saw the public disclosure, I felt even better about the choices that we made on our platform, and I kind of expected that I would. I mean, it's the hardware team under Liz that did Xbox One X. I just have a lot of confidence in them, and if I give them the time and the targets to go hit, I just believe in their ability to create a great end-to-end program, and the work that Jason Ronald and the team have done is just fantastic.
So, let me know your thoughts down below. And if you learn anything new here, hit that like button, maybe show this to a buddy too, and subscribe for the latest and greatest. The original source is down in the description. If you want to buy a shirt, buy some music, or hey, even become a patron, those links are down below. And of course, I want to thank all of you who rock out with me, all the patrons, all the channel members, everybody in the Discord that I really need to spend more time in. Sorry, I'm just going through some personal things. Have been for quite some time, and you know, I'm trying to get through it. Again, thank you for everything that you do. I'll continue to try to do the best that I can for you guys. So again, thanks. I'm Dealer. I'm out.